Assalamu alaikum students. A new topic, and the topic that we're going to share and study for today is direct and indirect speech. As student, my biggest concern and my biggest question to my teachers had always been that why do we have to study direct and indirect speech? And my teachers used to tell me that we have to study direct and indirect speech because it's something related to rules of English language. I would not go with primarily with what my teachers taught you. I would rather tell you that you need to understand why is direct and indirect speech important. When we talk about direct speech basically includes every sentence. You know the types of sentences that you did. Be your simple sentence, be your imperative sentence, exclamatory sentence, your negative sentence, your interrogative question sentence, all of these sentences, even your compound complex structures, they always basically function here as your direct and indirect speech. The first thing we need to understand is what is a direct speech. When we talk about direct speech is basically something when I am saying, when I you would say it as direct speech, but what I said you will hear it from someone's else mouth, it would become indirect. So obviously I would say, like, I want to submit my task. If somebody would hear that, that person would not say that I want to submit, Fariba said that I want to submit my task. She would say that, or she would say that Fariba wants, and then comma, I want to submit my task directly without changing. Whenever we talk about direct speech basically works wherever you quote someone's words directly. For example, Qaid Azam said, and then whatever he said, you will put it in inverted commas, that would become direct speech. Then there is another thing, you're writing stories, you add direct speech. What characters have said, how they have explored, how they are gone with it, how they are exposing themselves. So direct speech basically comes in your story writing, in quoting someone, in writing proverb, in writing something that is directly from the mouth of some of the person. Then it comes like indirect speech. Indirect speech is basically whenever you are not quoting the exact words of the person, either you don't know, or you like either you don't know, or you try to say it in indirect manner. That is how we use, this is how we use direct and indirect speech. Direct speech, remember this thing, is used in stories, even in proposals, in suggestions, in any other thing where you would come across a content, where you would have a lot of content. Indirect speech is basically used in a lot of things, in writing summary. For example, you're reading a story and you're writing a summary. Remember one thing, whenever you're producing a story, you cannot write direct speech, you have to turn it into the indirect speech. You're writing main idea, you're writing the theme, you're sending a proposal, you're extracting the main information. So indirect speech is basically something that helps you to compose a content in form of a summary, main theme, idea, gist, paragraphing, or anything. Direct usually works where you're quoting the work as it is. Okay, now, um introduction, if we'll be going with this one, introduction way, let me do it this way. Introduction. Okay, now, so, oh, why is it so terrible to do? No, 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 let me do it this way. Okay, so let's see, this direct and indirect speech. Okay, it's the, primarily the definition of direct and indirect speech, where we will see that how a direct speech is different than indirect speech. The majority of you know it, and since I have already explained it, and we have already talked about it, so I guess that you should know that whatever word is said, the actual word of the speaker is known as direct speech. Remember one thing, whenever we quote anything from Quran, from Bible, from Hadith, anything, and you want to say the way it is said, that is written in inverted commas, and that is known as direct speech. But at any moment, at any place, you feel that you don't know the exact words of the speaker, then you say that she said that, something like that. For example, if I say in Quran, Allah Ta'ala, you know, advised human beings. And then I'll write what Allah Ta'ala said in direct. But remember one thing, if you are quoting a direct speech of someone, of some celebrity, of some legend, of any religious figure or any scholar, however, you do not know the exact words, or you do not refer to that person, then you are liable. As per the law, you are doing something wrong. So that is why whenever you're quoting someone's speech, either you have to mention the name of the person, either you have to write it in inverted commas, or you have to write it in direct speech. For example, we may report what is said without quoting his exact words. This method is called indirect speech or reported speech. Remember, this is reporting speech and this is indirect or reported speech. For example, now say they said we are going to cinema. Now this is direct speech because I said the word of the person as it is without making any change. However, I made a change here where I said that they said that they're going to cinema. Now obviously I changed, removed inverted commas. You can see I changed the pronoun, even I changed the tense, and afterwards I even ended up the sentence with a full stop instead of going with inverted commas, though full stop comes here too. Okay. Okay. So this is how we know about direct speech. Exact words of the speaker used in the stories, used where you're quoting a person's exact word. These can be the words of scholars, religious persons, celebrity, or even any person whose word you want to directly quote to, and then you put it, write it in inverted commas. Indirect means when you're not sure of the exact word of the person, when you do not want to name that person and you want to change the pronouns or something like that, then we use indirect speech. But remember one thing, that direct and indirect speech becomes very important whenever you get summary, whenever you have to do the scrutiny of the information. There are a lot of people who are talking and suggesting, a lot of things are done. You go through the content and then you try to understand what somebody has said, and then you just extract the main point. So direct and indirect speech is plays vital role when you have to summarize a TED talk, when you have to summarize anyone's speech, when you have to write a summary, whenever you have to write the main theme, anything in English that you do, or any then it is very much important. Okay. We will be understanding like the structure basically would tell you that how it is structured. It will be seen in the direct speech. You guys have been doing it since long and since ages, so we will not go in a lot of detail. Whenever you see a direct speech, you identify that these are the words of the speaker. For example, if my CR would tell, Ma'am Fariba, I am not going to attend my class today. So this is basically, I will say, the CR said, I'm not going to take the class today. That is exact word of the speaker. The words are exactly quoted, and they are quoted and we show it through inverted commas. The first letter of the quotation begins with a capital letter. Now, as per the sentence structure, a sentence begins with a capital letter, ends with a full stop. But whenever you are quoting someone's speech, so you would say, for example, the CR said, and then, for example, if I say the CR said, and then this one, I will not take the class today. So now you can see that whenever I'm quoting, someone saying, I have to keep in mind that the word coming within inverted commas is to be in the capital letter. However, when I change it into the indirect speech, then it would not, like, it might not happen. In I's case, it would remain as it is, but in you, in she, in he, in they, it would not be capital. There is always a comma of colon after sit that introduces the spoken word of the speaker. In indirect speech, the speech that is reported is not put within inverted commas and does not begin with a capital letter. Now that is indirect speech. Whenever you're dealing with indirect speech, obviously, whenever you are dealing with that indirect speech, that this will change. You will not be going with the inverted comma and with everything. For example, if I would say this way, the CR said that. Now I remove your comma, and I added that. I removed even these that, and then I will change into he, and then will changes into would not take the class today changes into Dare, and then I will also remove this inverted commas. So this is how you keep on changing. It's not primarily or specifically one thing that changes, and that is basically the word. It changes a lot of things. It changes the inverted commas, the punctuation marks, the pronouns, even some of the words, even the tense changes. So there are a lot of changes in the structure that you do, that has been placed. Okay, let's come to the next one. Now, we'll be keeping in mind the rules of direct and indirect. Okay, what are the rules that we need to understand? Rules of changing from direct into indirect speech. Let's see and let's understand how it is. Okay, pronouns of first person in the reported speech are changed into indirect speech to the same person as the speech of the reporting speech. For example, he says to me, I'm tired. um, I would explain one thing, that you need to keep this thing and this thing. If this thing is in present, now you can see that this is in says instead of said. So then the internal portions tense would not change. The rest would change. Pronoun would change. Inverted commas would get removed. It would have a lot of structural changes. Yet the tense will not change if this is in present. Mark it. If this is in present, the external portion, I don't say it's reporting or reported, I will say external and internal portion. Let's talk about this is internal portion. Internal portion is in the present, external portion is again in somehow present. And however, this is to be something importantly considered. If this is in present, you can see that this is says, so you will say okay, he tells me. When there is a dialogue between two persons, you can always say tells. He tells me that he is tired. Okay, now so there are two persons, so you know that there person, the speaker is he said to me, I am faithful. Now you know that now this has changed into the past, so it would directly affect internal portion and would change into was. He told me that he was tired. So this is how I talked about punctuation that changes. I talked about pronouns that changes. I talked about tense that changes. I talked about the removal of inverted commas. I talked about a few of the words that keep on changing their shape. Okay. um, Okay, now pronouns of the second person in the speech, reported speech are changed in indirect to the same person as in the nouns or pronouns coming after the reporting speech. That is something I would not go in detail. Whenever you know there are two people who are busy in a conversation, so you would understand that she said to him. So she said to him, "You are intelligent." So obviously the girl is saying to the boy that you're intelligent. So obviously she would say that she said to him that, or she told him that he was intelligent. So you know that the listener is basically the guy or the boy, so you will say he. And then he said to me, you are late for the party. He told me, or he said to me that now me has come. Now you know that there is a person with I, that I was late for the party. Instead of going for this very long definition, I will simply tell you that the external part tells you who is busy in conversation with whom. According to that, you will change your pronoun. That's it. Okay. mm, Pronouns of the third person, it is again the same thing, repetition of the same thing, that you know that. um, okay, now that basically talks about the this the third person. And third person, they say that pronouns of the third person, the reported speech remains unchanged in indirect speech. They say that it doesn't change, but it again depends that if there are two people who are busy in conversation, so it might change. uh, and if it is for example, they said to me, if it would come this thing, they said to me, sorry, where did my screen go? Okay. Okay, so this is, wait, I hope I have got, okay, the charging is full. Okay, so This is how we basically see this thing, that as we have, okay, that this very portion is very important in order to tell you that how it is, wait, let me check one thing. Okay, so this portion basically tells you that what kind of people are involved in some kind of conversation, and either you have to change your pronoun or you do not have to change your pronoun. Okay, now let's understand a few of the rules. I try to come up with PPT that can be very easy to be understood. Either it would come in terms of, remember one thing, if somebody would ask you why is direct and indirect important, the role of direct indirect is basically focusing on the creation of meaningful content. If you're writing a story, you would not primarily rely on indirect speech, majorly. You will keep on fluctuating. Rather, you will focus more on direct speech, where your characters are talking and they are speaking, they are reacting, there is emotion, there exclamation, there is imperativeness, and a lot of things. Whenever you're submitting a report, you're writing a summary, you're producing the main idea or theme of something, or you're giving a presentation, you would not say that he said, I was told, I was informed about someone, or something like that. So these are few of the things you need to remember. Tenses, they change. Tenses only change when the external portion is in past. If the external portion is in present, for example, she says, I am unwell. She says that she is unwell, then internal portion would not change. But if it is, she said that, she said she's unwell, she said that she was unwell. If external portion is in the past, internal portion would also change its tense. If external portion is in present, internal portion would not change. Few of the things you need to remember, the rules that include that present changes into past, simple present changes into simple past tense. For example, if I would say that he said, I write a letter, and then you simply remove inverted commas and you place that, and then obviously he said, he is basically this guy, so I will go with he. Write changes into past. Write present, wrote is past. Then she said he goes to school daily, and then he said that she went to school daily, every day or daily, something like that. And I know that the speaker is she, so I'll be okay, no, she said he goes to school, okay, there is a little change that is being done. She said that he goes to school daily. Let's make it this way, I guess there is some typo error. She said that he went to school daily, so that is somehow go, I guess it has a bit, a luck, fluctuated in terms of its making. They said we love our country. They said that they love their country. He said he doesn't like the computer. He said that he didn't like computer, something like that. So you simply will see that simple present changes into simple past, goes changing to went, love changes into loved, does not changes into did not. Inverted commas are all removed. Instead of that, we have placed that, and then your pronoun has changed as per the speaker's role. That is okay. Now the next one is continuous. Continuous changes into past continuous. Is rm changes into was were. You can easily see, he said he's listening to the music, he said that, remove this and say that, and then he was listening to the music. I am washing the dishes. She said that she. We know that the speaker is she, so we'll say she was washing the dishes. They said we are enjoying the weather. They said that they were enjoying the weather, and something like that. So simply you need to understand that is rm changes into was were. Inverted commas are removed. There should be a full stop. Capitalization is removed, and it becomes small. Okay. Now perfect. Let's come to perfect. Present perfect changes into past perfect. He said he has finished his work. He said that he had finished his work. Okay, now see, remember one thing, we identify perfect with has and have. For example, this is identified with has and have, and we need to change it into had. Okay, so that's how we make change in terms of content making. Simply when you see has have turned into had, the rest would remain as it is. For example, she said, remove inverted commas, you are doing it everywhere. That he, and then has changes into had, finished his work. And then again have changes into had, he said that he had started a job. I said she, okay, I said she, wait, let me do it this way, that she has eaten the meal. I said that she had eaten the meal. We have not gone to New York. Okay, let me end it with this one. They said that they had not gone to New York. Simple thing you need to remember, that the rest would remain as it is. Inverted commas removed, pronouns changed, removal of inverted commas in the beginning, in the end, and there are some of the words like today, can, will, they would also change. But here we have that you would convert into had. Perfect continuous, that is identified with has been and have been, that changes into had been, nothing else. The rest would remain as it is, nothing would change. The rest of the rules would remain the same for it. Like if you have to you have to remove inverted commas, you have to add the pronouns, you have to add the important words that are to be done, something like that. Otherwise the main feature is to change present continuous into past continuous. Present continuous is basically with has been and have been, you would change it into had been. Now simple past. Okay, now before there was something that, that if you have a sentence like I said, I go to the market, that I'm going to change it. I said that I went to the market. Simple present changes into simple past. Now question comes here, that what if I get this very portion into the past? Now if I will be taking this thing, why it's not getting selected? It's selected, rejected. Okay, he said to me, you answered correctly. Now this is a question. If it would have been like you answer correctly, that okay ma'am, this is present, I'm going to change it to you answered. Now this is already an answered. What I have to do, you have to add had. Simple past changes into past perfect. They went, it should have been go. If it would have been go, it would have changed into went. But now it is went, so I have to change it into had gone. Made, now you have to change into had made. And then did not buy a car, it would change into that she had not bought a car. Remember, simple present into simple past, yet simple past into past perfect. Past perfect means you have to make an addition of third form and had. Okay, now what? We know that if you have a sentence with, for example, we are, if I say we are going to the we are going enjoying the weather, and you would have changed it, they said that they were enjoying the weather. But now we have already here were. The confusion here comes here, the confusion that we would have here is, now I have got something with past and past continuous. What I have to do, when you get something with past continuous, then you people have to turn it into had been, that is perfect continuous. Simply you can see, she said to me, I am waiting for you. If it would have been I am waiting for you, it would have mean that I was, that he was waiting for me or something like that. But now we know that this is already past continuous, I'm going to change into past perfect. Okay, so that's how all the things are done. Okay, now, remember one thing, that simple present into simple past into past perfect. What to do with past perfect? Do not do anything. This tense doesn't change. It remains as it is. For example, he said he had visited a doctor. If it would have been has, you would have changed it into had. If it would have been she visits, you would have changed it into visited. But now it is had and visited. What to do? So it would not change, it would remain as it is. Had visited, nothing. Simply you would remove this one, you would add that, and you would change pronoun. The rest would remain as it is. Okay, now here comes that how to tackle with future. And future would have will, Okay, your will changes into what? This rest would remain as it is. For example, he said, I will study the book, and you know that pronouns would change, inverted commas will be removed. So you will go with this thing. Okay. Yes. Now we know that will changes into word, and then that is future continuous. For example, will be changes into would be. Yes, you can see this thing. Let me make it a bit bold. I don't know why. Okay, now see, this when will be would change into would be. The rest would remain as it is. The rest of the policy is the same. Remove inverted commas, add pronouns as per the external part, and something like that. Okay, see, so we did that. Let me go this way. Yes, you can see all of them. What did I do, man? Okay, no, 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 no. Okay, so this is how you would do. Will be changes into would be. Okay, future perfect tense. Now, future perfect is also a family that comes in tenses. How do we change it? When you deal with future perfect, and that is will have, it would change into would have. Simply, you need to remember that the basic function is to change will into would. If it is coming with will, it would change into would. If it is coming with will be, it would change into would be. If it is coming with will have, it would change into would have. I want to explain this thing that the major function or major operation would take place with would. The rest would remain as it is. Okay, now one thing that I would rather explain instead of letting it go is that you need to understand that it is not hard and fast rule that every for example, let me write something for you people. If I'm going to write it this way, and if I say that she said, mm, I am unhappy with life. If I would say this, I'm unhappy with life, and you're going to convert it, obviously you would say that she said that, I'm sorry, she was unhappy with life. Okay, this is understood that you would be changing the tense because this is present continuous and this is present, you would change into the past. But what of this thing where you come with the he said mathematics is a science? Remember one thing, if there is a universal truth, okay, universal truth means something that is universally accepted. Maths is a science, okay. um or if it is, for example, if I say that earth is round, I don't know if it's round or not, there are 8 or 9 planets, something like that. So anything that is universally accepted, this present or this past doesn't change the tense. It would remain as it is. You would not say that maths was a science. It would remain maths is a science. Okay. If somebody would say sun rises in the east, you would say, okay, sun rises in the east, no matter if it is says or said. Universally accepted facts never change no matter what. No matter what. Sun rises in the east, it sets in the west. Um, or science is or for example, even proverbs, if I say honesty is the best policy, and I'll give you and I'll ask you, okay, okay, change into the past, and you would say, okay ma'am, honesty was the best policy, and I will say, okay, why did you change it? And you'll say, okay ma'am, because you said that if there is, you will change it into the into was and were, and I'll say, okay, can't you see that this is a universal fact? So understand few things, that universal facts are not to be changed no matter what the tense they show up in. Okay, now there are a few of the important things that change, and now changes into then, here into there, ago, before, thus changes into so, today into that day, tomorrow, next day, yesterday, the day before, last night, the night before. That becomes this, become that, becomes that, these becomes those, hence becomes thence, and I don't know, the last one is difficult to pronounce, I'm not going to pronounce it. Okay, now Assertive statements or assertive sentences are also known as indicative or declarative. Okay, now these are some of the assertive sentences. The reported part, verb in the form is generally a verb of saying and is changed into tell. Okay, so it is basically where some kind of declaration or indication or statement or assertiveness is shown. When such things come, usually we go with told. So that is something you need to understand, where sometimes the following words are, they give clear indication if it is stated, replied, answer, reminded, declared, remarked, assured, or something. Jamila said, brother, I'm going. Jamila told her brother that she was going. Okay. um, Now you don't, that there are not two people involved in the task, but within the very address or the assertion or statement is telling you that she's addressing her brother. Nelson said to his granny, I have never seen fear anyway here. So again, you would see that here it is basically told and you would be changing it accordingly. Okay, imperatives are basically commands, as we have done this thing. So I would not go with a lot of detail, and you would be, changing the tenses accordingly. For example, if somebody would say, I hope that I have given, yes, I've given the example, so I will not go with this thing. Okay, imperative are all of those sentences or dialogues, those statements that show up with some command. Please help me, learn your lessons, don't misbehave, open the door, shut the window. So these are all those. So they say that when such sentences come and you change them into indirect, you have to write requested, advice, suggested, told, forbade, or something like that. But remember, when there is a sentence like she told me don't play with matches, then you have to start it with not to do. For example, she forbade me from playing with matches, or she forbade me not to play with matches, or something like that. Okay. And yes, you do not place that. The function here is with to, you have to use to. See, he said, Manzoor, sit still. Now we know that this is basically something that is told to Manzoor, or so you would say that he ordered Manzoor to sit still. Now instead of that, I have placed to. Remember, in imperative sentences, or we talk about imperative form, in imperative form, it is usually followed by what? It is usually followed by to. Okay. And in not, in case of not, use to after. Oh my god, it has become so messed up. Okay, now see, let me put it this way. Okay, now see, you can see that forgive the boy his first mistake. The boy his first mistake, said the mother to her husband. So the mother implored or suggested, or you can say advise, would not be her husband to forgive the boy's first mistake. The boys forgive the boy's first mistake. I guess it should be this way. The boy's first mistake. Okay, forgive the boy's first mistake. See? The gentleman said to the servant, do not stay here. See, on the top, I gave example with the orders and imploration, or the advice or suggestion. Here we have come with the gentleman ordered his servant. Now there is not. So instead of writing only to, I have written not before, not to stay there. And here changes into there. The rules would remain as it is. Okay. Okay. Now a bit complex thing. This is an exercise that we can do in the class. Yet, there is something that you will understand is integrative or interrogative. This is a bit complex in terms of understanding. Remember one thing. Normally, whenever we are using or there is a transition from simple into what do we call, uh, reported into reporting, or whenever changing statements into indirect, we use that. In imperative sentences we use that to. When imperative sentence is not, we use not to. But what about integrative, where you have inquiry, question, or something, and it is followed by a question mark, okay, instead of a full stop. Now see, I said to him, who are you? Now we know that this is something that is asked. I asked him who he was. Remember now, this is who you would write as it is. Remember, are you. You know that there is a person, him. So you would write he was instead of. Remember one thing, if you would write who was he, then it would not be a statement. It would have to become again, it has to become again a question. So I'll say that who he was. Fine. And then I ask him who he was. Let's do it this way. Okay. Ajmal said to me, "Why do you not? Why don't you? Why do you not? Why do you not go home?" Ajmal asked me why I did not go home. I told you that. See, the said to me changes into asked me, and then why would remain as it is, and do you is involved, so you know that's you can convert it into I, and because you have me, so it means that you can involve yourself. I did not go home. The master said to the servant, "Where do you come from?" The master inquired of this from the servant. Okay, from the servant where he came from. So this is how you tackle with it. In simple words, if I explain the integrative sentences, you need to understand this very fact that there are two types of questions that we get. If I can explain it here ahead, integrative. Yes, if the questions are beginning with w5 or h wait w w5 plus h1, which means that who, what, when, where, why, whom, something like that, you would not use whether or if. But if it is beginning with any other word like is, are, am, how, did, shall, will, has, have, then you have to use whether or if. The rest would remain as it is. The teacher said to the boy, "Have you done your homework?" The teacher asked the boy whether he had done his homework. Mr. Jones said, "Is Mr. Smith at home?" Now, see, you know that it is not coming starting with who, what, when, where. So you have to use whether or if. Choice is yours. If Mrs. Smith was at home, the rest is as it is. Okay, now the next one is exclamatory sentences. How we deal with exclamatory sentences. When it comes to exclamatory sentences, as we have, we always, we have done types of sentences where we know about exclamatory sentence. And exclamatory sentence is basically something that shows a sudden or abrupt feeling, be of achievement, be of success, be of sorrow, be of grief, be of anything else, and it is identified with exclamation. Such sentences are tackled as per the context. Now, see, for example, he said, "Hurrah, I won the prize." You know that there is happiness. So you can say that he exclaimed with joy that. You would write that he had won the prize. The rest is same as we did in the beginning, is that you have to use that. You have to change the tenses, you have to change the verb. The only thing you have to identify it is excitement, happiness, joy, sorrow, wonder, or any other feeling. Now, see, she said, "Alas, I have failed in the exam." Now, you know that it is said with sorrow, exclaim with sorrow that she failed in the, that she had failed the exam. I failed in the exam, that she had failed in the exams. Now, because we talked about that when it is past, you have to go with past perfect. Wow, what a nice short. Now, whenever a tense is coming where you don't know the tense, like it is present, so you would actually go with this thing. So these are a few of the example you can see. Yes, that's all. So this is how we deal with direct indirect sentences, and this is how we deal with the rest all. If you go through it, you can understand it well. If still you have any question or query, you can ask it. Thank you so much.